Weekend Hockey Update, a weekly roundup of sports news. Some real, some not.
Oh, hey everybody.
I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs,
Where you get your daily fix of the Bleu Blanc Rouge.
Stay right there. It's time for Weekend Hockey Update with Rick. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone! To all my Canadian friends, happy Thanksgiving, eh? So it's Thanksgiving weekend, and it's time for some Weekend Hockey Update. Let's get right into it. Got some birthdays to announce. So the birthdays this week, Patrick Roy turned 56 on October 5th. Patrick Roy of the famous Patrick Roy wink. So Patrick Roy is 56 years old. That's 2 years younger than me. I don't know why I thought we were the same age. And everyone's been talking lately. It's out in the news that he's looking for an NHL job. And there's been a lot of talk around him maybe taking over as GM, taking over as coach before they officially hired Ducharme. A lot of fans really would like to see Patrick Roy be hired by the organization in some capacity. Happy birthday, Patrick. Pete Mahovlich, legendary Pete Mahovlich, turns 75 years old today, October 10th. I'm filming on October 10th, and Pete Mahovlich turns 75 today. Pete Mahovlich, one of the great Montreal Canadiens from my day, brother to, obviously, Frank Mahovlich, right there. Happy birthday, Pete. Newcomer, Sami Niku, turns 25 today as well. So October 10th, Sami Niku, 25 years old. He is back. We'll give you some news on it. Sami Niku is back from concussion, and he's back at practice, and he's wearing a contact jersey. So Sami Niku seems good to go, and that's good news considering, the injuries that are happening, and we need him for depth. Haven't really got a good look at him because he got hurt pretty early in the game that he played. So, but he's back and he's ready to go, and we'll see if we're going to see him on the ice during any of the games early on in the season. There are 3 games in 4 nights to start the season, so there's a good chance that you'll see all the depth guys play. Jonathan Drouin is day-to-day, and that one caught me by surprise. It was at the beginning of the Thursday game. They announced that he wasn't in. He's day-to-day, and he's listed with a non-COVID-related illness. Doesn't really say much. I'm just worried about, since we all know that he's come back recently from a bout with some mental health issues, and he had announced in the interview that he did with Chantal Maccabi that he can now recognize the things that trigger him for his anxiety, and he knows how to surround it with people that can help him and stuff like that. I'm paraphrasing. I'm just hoping it's not something like this because just that wording is kind of worrisome, I want to say, but he's out apparently day-to-day, and hopefully he'll be ready for the opening night. Joel Edmondson, speaking of injuries, Joel Edmondson will be out for 2 to 3 weeks. That was announced a few days ago, and that's with a lower body injury that hasn't really gotten any better or any worse since he arrived at camp and started skating on his own. He didn't appear in any preseason games. And like I said, it was listed as day-to-day, and even the coach said he's day-to-day. But it's one of those injuries that's just been stubborn. It's been stable. He hasn't gotten better, but he hasn't gotten any worse either. And then they announced that it'd be 2 to 3 weeks. So let's hope that it sticks to that timeline. And because we're going to need Edmondson definitely this year. The defense needs everybody. On another injury note, Mike Hoffman has resumed skating this week. And this, according to Ducharme as well, he said in a press conference that he had that Mike would start skating that day. I haven't heard of an update since then. So I'm going to assume that since I hadn't heard either way that he did resume skating. There's no timeline yet for his debut with the Habs. And so I'm going to assume that the original timeline that he'd be out about a month is still in place. And that means we should see him in about 2 weeks, which is a little over a week into the season. A Dallas Cowboys player seen here showing his teammates exactly how big Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend's balls got after he got vaxxed. On to some signings. This happened last weekend, actually. So I'm filming this on a Sunday, and I found out about this after I filmed last weekend on the Sunday that Jake Evans signed a 3-year deal. He signed a 3-year contract. The details of that contract are, I'll give them to you here first. 3 years, $5.1 million total. It is a $1.7 million AAV. He signed a contract at the beginning of last season that had him on a 2-way deal for the first year and a 1-way deal this year. And this is an extension, and he will not get, well, I don't know if he can be offer sheeted anyways, but it's a contract extension. He is, it's well-deserved by Evans, first of all. He's a former 7th-round pick. He spent, I'm not sure if it was 3 or 4 years in college, and he spent some time in the AHL to get to where he is today. And this is the announcement. Evans made headlines over the weekend, signing a 3-year contract extension through the 24-25 season. The 25-year-old University of Notre Dame grad was thrilled to put pen to paper with Montreal after working his way up the organization's depth chart over the last 3 years. I just love this city. I love playing here. I've had so much fun these past few years, and my teammates, I've been growing so close to them. They're like brothers now. So when that offer came up, there was no doubt in my mind I wanted to get it done, said Evans. It's a huge relief to have it in place and know where I can be for the future. Well, Jake Evans, definitely excited to be a Hab. I'm really happy with the signing. It's definitely not a signing that breaks the bank. He is a good, talented young kid. He's 25 years old, so he's not as young as some people might think, but he's still young, and he's got a lot of potential as a third-line center here. And listen, the job is his there for him to take. They've signed him to the contract. Now he's going to go out there and he's going to show us that he's deserving of it. I think he is already, and I think he's going to prove that it wasn't a bad decision to sign him to that deal. Arbor Mikai. I know doesn't look like that's how you pronounce it, but it's Arbor Mikai to a 3-year, 2-way contract. The first 2 seasons, 21-22 and 22-23, are at $750,000 in the NHL, and this third season is at $775,000. That's 23-24 season. He is getting $70,000 in the AHL. There's bonus money that comes with that. First season, $80,000. Second season, $70,000. And third season, $60,000. So it's a really nice payday for a guy, from what I read, was working like in a grocery store last year or something like that. Definitely, he's come a long way, and I thought he had a really good camp. Montreal obviously saw a lot of things that they liked in this young guy, and they signed him up. He was loaned to the Kitchener Rangers when they cut him from camp, and that's of the OHL. So he was an undrafted invitee to the Habs rookie camp, and then they invited him to the main camp where he made a pretty good impression. So congrats to Arbor Mikai, and here's to a long career as a Montreal Canadien. Ryan Poehling appears to have made the team. I say for now. He's waiver exempt, so we'll see if he sticks around once players start to come back. But it seems like he's made the team. I know a lot of people thought, no, he can't make the team with what he did in camp because he didn't do anything flashy. He is basically possibly the 4th-line center. How many 4th-line centers are flashy type? And they're not. So the stuff he did in camp, I'm quite sure under the direction of the coaches, is basically pay attention to detail, play to his strengths. That's basically, he's an up and down kind of a player. I think he did a lot of the stuff that he was supposed to do that the coaches wanted to see. I think he played well enough to make the team, considering the lack of depth at center. And the fact that Cedric Paquette is out, who would be the 4th-line center if not for Poehling. So we'll see if he sticks around, but he's waiver exempt, so I can see him possibly, being sent down and brought up and sent down a few times. And speaking of Cedric Paquette, who I had been wondering what happened to him because I hadn't seen him for a while, he's been out, and I don't know with what, but apparently it's day-to-day, and he could possibly unseat Poehling when he's ready to return. I don't believe Paquette's ever played a full 82-game season when he was with Tampa. So we'll have to see if that's the plans for Montreal, or as I suspect is we'll see both Poehling and Paquette at that fourth line center position. There is a new Rick Moranis comedy, and it's in production right now. And you wonder, why am I talking about a comedy movie? That's Rick Moranis before and how he looks today. So it's a new comedy production. It's hockey themed. That's why I'm talking about it, because it's hockey themed. It's a remake that's based on one of his big hits, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which was the picture on the left. So I've got a still photo from the movie. And here, take a look at it. And it's called Honey, I Shrunk Ken Dryden. Expected to be released by playoff time.
We want you to become a member of Talking Habs.
Ottawa Senator Brady Tkachuk. He remains unsigned as of the day I'm filming. I didn't see anything about them signing him. And I've been checking all day so far to see if there's any headlines. So he remains unsigned. And the question I got is, how come he hasn't been offer sheeted? Now, I realize we wouldn't hear about an offer sheet unless he signs it. So he probably has been offer sheeted, but we don't know. So maybe my question is, why wouldn't he sign one and get the hell out of there? So I don't know. And maybe the fact that he hasn't signed an offer sheet yet, because you do have to believe that some team has tried to sign him with an offer sheet. Maybe he really does want to stay in Ottawa. It's expected that if he does sign, that he'll be named captain. I don't know that he'll go anywhere else that he'll be named captain. So that's got to be something. So I imagine he does want to stick around in Ottawa for some reason. But I don't understand why this kid doesn't sign an offer sheet and get the hell out of there.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
The National Hockey League and the National Hockey League Players Association announced today that goalie Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens will be away from the team while voluntarily taking part in the NHL-NHLPA Player Assistance Program. There will be no further comment. So Carey Price shocked the Habs universe and the hockey world in general when he entered himself into the NHLPA's Player Assistance Program this week. No details on exactly why have been released. And as you can see in that post, there will be none from the NHL or the NHLPA. The only time we'll actually find out is when Carey Price himself comes out to say what happened. If he decides to do that, he may not. If he decides to come out and talk about it, the way Jonathan Drouin did after that happened for him. In an Instagram post by his wife, Angela, it's pretty obvious that it's for mental health reasons. She doesn't give exactly why, but I think you can rule out all the other reasons that people are trying, and that's kind of ridiculous, but it's for mental health reasons. His former goalie coach, Stefan Waite, was interviewed after and said Carey took the Stanley Cup final loss very hard after trying for so long to get there and then losing. And I think it's this, among other issues, with the residential schools and the reconciliation. And I think there's a lot of that. And if you put it all together with COVID and the stress of just being a hockey player or an athlete trying to do his job in a pandemic, it's not a surprise that anyone, even a guy that you would think like Carey Price, that they're affected by this. It's not a surprise. So he'll miss a minimum of 30 days. That's the minimum you can be in the player assistance program. But I personally kind of expect it to go longer than that, and maybe as much as 4 to 6 months. And why I say that is, if you look at Jonathan Drouin, who went in about a month before the end of last season, and like if it was only 30 days, and now everybody's different, and I get that. But if you go by that, he would have been back at some point in the playoffs. That didn't happen. So you got to figure it's probably going to be a similar amount of time, 2, 3, 4 months is my guess, So it looks like we're going to have a long season without Carey Price. Now, am I complaining? I'm not. He absolutely did the right thing in seeking help, and he should take the time he needs to get healthy again. There's just no doubt about it. This kind of says it right here. Get well soon, Carey, number 31. But seriously, he does need to just take the time that he needs to get better, get healthy, and come back and be the old cliche, be stronger than he was before. So my thoughts are with him, and I just hope things are going well and go well, and I think he did the right thing. Brendan Gallagher, his longtime teammate, apparently they've played together now almost 10 seasons. He has some stuff to say on it. It's kind of weird. Anytime we trade for a guy who's a new guy in the locker room, you can just see the amount of respect. You look at him as kind of this Superman, and it's really unfair to put that on him just because he's a great hockey player. But he does so many things right. He handled every situation he's dealt with in the city, from the outside noise. And the performances he's been able to put on the ice, considering what he's been going through, you appreciate it just that much more. Like I said, the way he was pricey. He handled everything. So when he looked at himself and he realized he needed to make a decision to become a better man for himself, it was a bit of a surprise, but you fully respect him. And it's just such a courageous decision that he made. So like I said, he has this whole locker room's utmost respect. When we get him back, we get him back. For the time being, he's got to do what he's got to do, and that's the most important thing. So you have to figure there's obviously no bad feeling in the locker room towards Price for taking himself out like this in an important season, and he's a key member of the team. So, and I mean, that's just good to see, and those are nice words to hear from Brendan Gallagher. So for me, all the best to Carey Price, and I hope whatever amount of time that he needs to take, he takes that amount of time, gets himself feeling the way he needs to feel, and comes back with confidence, and comes back to win, which is what I think will happen. Will this be Marc Bergevin's last season as Habs GM? A lot of people over the last couple of seasons have wanted that to be the case and been screaming for it all over social media and everywhere, but it's a legit question. Is this possibly his last season? Marc Bergevin is in the last season of his contract that he signed. I think it was a 5-year deal. And he was offered a contract in the offseason that he turned down. Whether it was for money or he wanted a higher position, I don't have any confirmation of either. So apparently negotiations have broken off between Bergie and owner Jeff Molson. The 10-year Habs GM said he won't sign an extension during the season. He said that he was asked a question about the contract in a recent press conference, and he is focused on the team, and he is not looking to sign or negotiate anything to do with the contract during the season. So my question is, could he be holding out to be president of hockey operations? Because that's another rumor that he'd be president of hockey operations and then he'd hire a new GM. Or is he holding out just for more money? We don't know. This kind of, I don't know, this is kind of a weird, what a statement that was put out by Montreal. Reported by Eric Engels, Canadiens PR Paul Wilson says Marc Bergevin's contract will be honored through the end of the year. His future with the team will only be addressed at the end of the season. You know, to me, that's just a very, for a guy that, you're talking about a guy that's been with the team for 10 seasons, or in his 10th season now, and that's very cold. I mean, of course his contract will be on, unless you're firing him, his contract will be honored to the end of the contract. It's like, I don't get it. When I saw that, because that came out, I think 2 days ago, and I just thought, well, something is wrong. There's something wrong here between Bergevin and the team, and just Molson. And it's, you know, since then I found out that their negotiations, that they've broken off. So there's obviously a problem. Is Bergevin just trying to negotiate his way out of Montreal, so that they don't sign him and he has an excuse or whatever and he wants out? Or does he just want a new position? The president of hockey operations with Montreal does not have one. It would be a good idea to have one. You can't really bring in another one and have Bergevin here as GM. That probably wouldn't work. So either he gets fired and you make a total changeover, or you bump him up and he hires the new GM. So we'll see what happens. We're going to find out. Imagine over the course of the season, we'll find out. And yeah, there you go. Seattle Kraken announced the signing of retired NBA star Shaquille O'Neal to a one-year contract to bolster Seattle's defense. He can't skate well, but he'll just have to stand in front of the net and let players and pucks bounce off him. Yeah, I can see that happening. Why not? Good strategy, I'm not sure whether there's no announcement on how much, but, it's probably a no-risk kind of contract. He's big enough to stand there to block the goalie. Now, sure, the goalie can't see much, but will he have to? Because everything can just bounce off Shaq. Are the Canadiens and the Carolina Hurricanes starting a Hatfields and McCoy's type of feud? NHL rules state that each team must play a minimum of 6 preseason games this season. Teams book and arrange all of their own preseason games, so it's not run through the NHL system, I guess is the word for that. Carolina played only 4 games, and the NHL didn't notice until, and this is rumor has it, that the Montreal Canadiens informed them of that fact. The NHL CBA requires teams to play 6 preseason games. Canes only played 4. According to Frank Saravalli, there's thought that the only reason the NHL noticed was because they were told by Canadiens Montreal. Okay, so now there's a fine or something like this. So there's not that. So there doesn't seem to be any penalty to Carolina for not playing the other 2 games. And I can't understand, why is there a rule that you're going to enforce when there's just no penalty for it if you break it? I just don't get it here. Why have the rule if there's just not going to be anything? So there's obviously a mutual dislike between these 2 teams, and it's heating up. Once again, apparently, we'll call it the Canadiens and Hurricanes. After accepting a PTO in Arizona with the Coyotes, Alex Galchenyuk must have played well enough to sign a 1-year, $750,000 contract with the Coyotes. It's his second stint with Arizona. Here's the announcement. The Alex Galchenyuk signs 1-year, $750,000 contract with the Coyotes. He had a season of 19 goals and 41 points in 72 games, his first season there when he was traded for Max Domi. Let's talk about that for a sec. So he was traded there in exchange for Max Domi 3 seasons ago, and then proceeded to play for a total of 6 teams in the last 4 seasons, if you include his last season here in Montreal. So that's Montreal, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Ottawa, Toronto, and then going back to Arizona, that'll make it 7 in 5 seasons. Or if you take Montreal away, it's still 6 in 4 seasons. So it's a lot of teams. He is quickly becoming a journeyman hockey player. Let's see if he sticks with Arizona. If there's a team that he could stick with, you got to figure it's the Coyotes. I mean, they're a shit show also, like Galchenyuk is as a player, and they probably right now couldn't be a good marriage together. Maybe he can get his career back. It's a team that needs some scoring. Maybe he can find his scoring touch again there in Arizona. And you know what? I don't hate the guy, and it wouldn't bother me at all to see Alex Galchenyuk get his game back together. I think he needs to get his father off of his back for that to happen. But I like Galchenyuk when he was here with Montreal, and honestly, I would like to see him. Why not get his game back together and not be such an embarrassment to the Montreal Canadiens for drafting him. But Alex Galchenyuk, all the best to you. And if there's a team that needs you, yeah, the Coyotes are definitely one of those. Speaking of the Arizona Coyotes, apparently Phil Kessel is not in the Coyotes' plans going forward. He's a UFA next season, and is looking for a trade to a contender. Here's the announcement from the Score report. Phil Kessel not in Coyotes' plans and is eyeing trade to contender. If Montreal is somehow in a playoff push and in need of offense at the trade deadline, would you reach out for him? If they, that's Coyotes, retained half of his salary, he could probably still help a team win at playoff time. He's a UFA next season, so there's like no risk. He's only 34, which isn't too old. He's earning $6.8 million right now. I believe that Toronto, and I'm going to show you right here, Toronto pays $1.2 million of that, and they're in the last season of paying that, if you can imagine. So that would leave $5.6 million. If they have retained half, it's like 2.8. So $2.8 million to have him for the last part of the season, which is like, about $500,000 to $700,000. Not too bad if he can help you win if you're in a position for that. He had 391 goals, 513 assists for 904 points in 1,122 regular season NHL games. And he also had 34 goals, 47 assists, and 81 points in 96 playoff games. So, the guy can help if he if he's not eating too many hot dogs. Can I still say that? Listen, I don't like the player, but I said that about Carey Price too. And I ended up having a lot of respect for Carey Price after one season here. So I'm not saying necessarily that would happen with Kessel, but I'd be willing to give that a shot if Montreal is in a playoff run and just needs a little bit of scoring touch. If the new experimental COVID pill is approved and becomes popular with the anti-vax crowd, well, then we'll all know the real reason for all the protests. The anti-vax snowflakes are really just afraid of needles. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week for episode 3. Stay safe out there. Peace out. Bye, y'all. What do I want to say? He was just a big... I don't even know what to say about him, so I'm probably going to cut that out and just say the happy birthday, Pete.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, check out that video over there.